Hi, I'm Paula. I'm an intuitive healer based in New York City, and I work with women across the globe, helping them release all the physical, emotional, and energetic weight so that they can live happier, healthier, and freer lives. We all want to feel free rather than constrained and constricted with punishing um, methods that we use when we're feeling weighed down, literally and metaphorically. So today I wanted to talk to you about the three most common energy blocks that I see preventing us from achieving what we want in terms of our body, our physical, mental, emotional body, but also money, sex, and relationships, because they all live in the same energy center. So let me tell you a little bit about my story first, and then we'll go into the details. So nourishment and self-care are my practices of choice or my tools of choice, because I believe that healing should be accessible. It's not that complicated. It's not all weird, obscure methods that nobody knows. You can actually do a lot with what you do on your day to day. And taking care of the energetics of your body it's a self-care tool. Self-care is not just getting a massage or getting a facial, is the things that you do in your day-to-day life to take care of yourself. That's why it's called self-care. So taking care of your energy and clearing your energy is one of them, and it's something that we all have the capacity to do. You don't have to have a special gift. We all have the ability to tap into our intuition and the energies of our bodies. So for a long, long time, I struggled with my weight and my well-being. It all started in my 30s. And of course, I dieted, crash dieting, cleansing, detoxing, really hard workouts, and I would lose the physical weight, but the mental and emotional weight actually would become heavier because I was living a life that was too hard and difficult for me to maintain how I wanted to look. And I was doing it more from a place of how I wanted to look, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when I realized that I wanted to feel a certain way, and I started working with how I wanted to feel, then in turn, how I looked came as a result of that. So it was like flipping the script. It was flipping the narrative. Um, it wasn't until I was familiar with the energetics of the body that everything really clicked into place. What does that mean? Many of us call them chakras. I prefer to call them energy centers, but there are different energy centers in the body that hold certain information. And when they are in balance, they manifest in a certain way. And when they are out of balance, they manifest in a different way. So I'm not going to go through all of the energy centers today. I want to talk to you about the main three that are the ones that I see mostly out of balance, especially in women, and how they affect us, how you can tell if you're in balance or out of balance, what may have caused the imbalance, and how it may be affecting you physically. Disclaimer: if you are sick, you go to the doctor. If you have a problem in your throat, a problem in your heart, a problem in your reproductive organs, a problem anywhere, by problem I mean something, you have pain, you have a diagnosis, you go to the doctor. We're not going to meditate that away. We're going to help the cause, but I'm just saying that because I see that in spiritual, what do I say it? People that like to use spirituality as a practice, sometimes they're like, I don't go to the doctor. Saying that you don't want to go to the doctor because that's not spiritual is saying like you don't like money because money is not spiritual. We need to pay our bills. We need to go to the doctor, and it all can live together. All right. So when I share with you how these imbalances may be manifesting physically, it's not to say breathe it away. It's to say, oh, maybe this has something energetic, not just physical. It's not just what I've been doing physically. Maybe there's some kind of energetic component to how my body is responding and how it's manifesting. Okay. So the first one I'm going to talk about is in the root energy center. The root is at the tip of the spine and down your legs. Imagine a tree trunk. You're a tree, and your legs are your roots. So anything from that bottom of the pelvis down, that's your root center. And that root center is the center of home, it's the center of safety, it's the center of security, it's the space where we find courage. If we have grounded roots, we are able to, you know how trees, the stronger the root, the taller the tree. So you want to make sure that your roots are grounded. And because this is the center of home and safety, typically there are imbalances there that come from not having a safe environment growing up as a child, or not having stability in the home when we were children, or even as an adult. Things happen when we're children. A lot of these little seeds get planted when children, but a lot of them happen as we grow up as well. So how does it manifest when it's in balance? You feel grounded, you feel safe, you have inner peace, you can go about your days feeling secure. I feel, grounded. We love to use that word. And how do you know if it's out of balance? It's because there's fear. So fear is the quickest way to identify if you have an imbalance in that energy center. And again, I like to group personal care, the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with money, and the relationship you have with sex. They all connect. So fear around body, physical things, food, fear around money, career, your contribution to the world, fear around sex and romantic relationships. So how can that manifest physically? Anything that has to do with these areas of the body. So pains in the knees and joints, swelling of the legs, constipation or diarrhea, prolapse in the pelvic floor, anything that feels out of balance in this bottom part of the body, chances are there's an energetic connection as well. So if you are feeling any symptoms here, think, do I feel like there's an imbalance due to how I grew up, safety in my home, et cetera, et cetera. But the first thing would be to identify, do I feel fear? Most of us feel fear on a day-to-day basis. Listen, we're all in this together. And many of us have a combination of all of these. Maybe one highlights more on a certain situation than the other, but these are very common. I'm just highlighting so that you are aware that it has an energetic connection that you can trace back and maybe do something with it, because it is only when we own our stories that we can do something with it. So maybe this will inspire you to take a moment with yourself and contemplate. All right, so then we're going to the sacral energy space. And if the root is the bottom of your spine and pelvis down your legs, the sacral space in women is the womb space, and in men, it's called the hora. But men don't have a womb, so we don't call it womb space, but it's that space where it's inside the pelvic bowl, underneath the navel, the belly button. So this space, this is our space of creativity, of creation, of outside, inside, how we connect to the outside world. This is where we create. There's a fire inherent in this space. And when it's in balance, we feel proud, we feel expansive, we feel like we want to do things, we have the energy to create things. And when it's out of balance, we feel shame and guilt. And guilt moves on to the third energy center, so I'll explore that in a moment. But shame is when you're doing something that you feel embarrassed about yourself, or you feel is hurting yourself and you're doing it anyway, or something that you want to hide that you're doing to yourself. Guilt tends to connect to something where we feel like we're harming other people, or we're doing something embarrassing to other people. So shame is very internal, guilt is more external. And this may be because, again, at any point in our life, there was constriction, be quiet, make yourself small. This space tends to be very expansive and creative. So if you were ever criticized for having crazy ideas, for being too much, too loud, we tend to create an imbalance. And an imbalance for me feels like a shrinking, like a contraction, rather than an expansion. And how this can manifest physically: reproductive issues, really extreme PMS, or PMS in general, but really pronounced PMS, fertility issues, digestive issues, a lot of gut bacteria issues, what do you call when people have celiac, anything that has to do with this part of digestion in the body, bloating and digestion, things with your ovaries, with men, things with the testicles as well. So anything that feels imbalanced physically or a diagnosis in this area of the body, lower back pain is a huge one. If you feel like you're not being creative in your life and there's a lot of shame and guilt, our lower back tends to hurt. All right, and then we move on to the third energy center, which is our solar plexus. And it's kind of like the navel and a little bit above. It's like the navel and between the navel and the heart, but the navel center is included as well. And here we tend to feel, that tail end of guilt that connects and anxiety. So this energy center is our center of will and willingness. This is our center of, am I living my life how I want to live it? Am I able to say yes or no to things that I want to say yes or no? And am I doing things that I don't want to do? Am I living in a life that everything that I do is because I want to, not because I need to or should or have to? So there's a lot of conflict here, especially when we live in a world where we do have to do things that we have to, because we live in society and community. But if most of your life feels like that you're not doing things that are filling you up and fulfilling you, there tends to be an imbalance. And again, that could come from childhood, that could come from later years. But if you're not feeling a life where you feel empowered and that your willingness and your will to do things is amplified, we feel anxiety. What am I doing? Connected with guilt. But I should be doing this, but I should be doing that. Or I coulda, shoulda, woulda, bad combination rather than I want. I do it because I want to. And isn't it wonderful when our needs and our shoulds become wants? I actually want to do that. The work that you're doing, the contribution you're giving back to the world, you want to do that, right? So this energy center, how does this manifest physically? The lungs, base of the lungs is here, the stomach. So actual, when you eat, if there's a lot of indigestion, heartburn, diabetes, things that have to do with the pancreas, the spleen is here on the left side. And this is our immune system hub. This is where all our white blood cells are produced. So if you're having a lot of immune issues, if you're getting sick easily, the liver as well, which is a major filter. They all contain emotions too. If you're easily angry, if you're angry all the time, chances are there's an imbalance here in your solar plexus. So I'm going to give you a little journaling exercise I give all of my students so that you can sit with this. I know if you've never heard of this, it may seem like a lot to digest. But the key is to sit with yourself. This is one of the tools that I use personally and I give my students. And of course, if you want to learn more, the Breakthrough, my program, is a 40-day ritual program where we do meditation and energy work and have a nutrition component to address all of these blocks in the body so that you can release them and live the life that you want. Design a Life You Love is a workshop that's connected to this. You can find on my website as well for free. But if you want to really dive in, the Breakthrough is the program that I recommend to do, or schedule some one-on-ones with me so we can get in and really get into the nitty-gritty. But this is something I wanted to leave you with. Pen and paper is always best. If you like to journal on your notes app, fantastic, as long as you're getting it out of you. Think of these ideas, these habits, these stories that we carry that are creating imbalances in our energetic body, emotional body, and physical body as little seeds that were planted at some point in our life. And sometimes we have an idea of what they are, but sometimes it's actually that not what you thought it was. So it's important to sit with yourself. Meditation is a great tool, but sometimes simple contemplation. So you close your eyes, you take a few deep breaths, and you imagine you're dropping a little seed all the way down to the base of your torso. So it's almost like the seed is traveling in the center column of your body, your central channel, going as deep as you can. And then you ask yourself a series of questions. And rather than trying to think about it, we're not using the head here. You're going to connect to that energy center and ask these questions. So to recap, we did the root, the base of the spine, home, safety, security, manifests as courage, bravery, feeling safe, feeling secure on a balanced way. And an imbalanced way, it manifests as fear. Generally, it's just fear is like the word, right? And then any ailments that are afflicting your lower body. Then we have the sacral space, which is our center of creativity, creation, sex, money, really how we process everything that comes in from the outside world. And when it's in a balanced state, we feel confident, we feel empowered, we feel like we can do things. And when it's out of balance, we feel shame and guilt and embarrassment, and we want to hide. And this is all reproductive organs, lower back, colon, gut bacteria, lower digestion. And then finally, we explore the third, the solar, the will and willingness, the solar plexus. Am I living my life how I want to live it? I feel empowered. I feel clear. I feel confident. In a balanced way. And in an imbalanced way, there's the guilt and then the anxiety. What am I doing? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm confused. Get me out of here type of situation, right? So the questions would be, you close your eyes, you drop your seed, you breathe for a few moments, and you ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this? So if you go to fear, you go all the way to the root and you ask that space in your body, when was the first time I felt fear? If nothing comes up, nothing comes up now. You may have something come up later today, tomorrow. Try to do this for a week and see what happens. Second question, acknowledge why it happened. Not, oh yeah, I understand why, but that part of you that went through that experience, what would that part of you say now? Oh my God, I didn't remember that. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, what happened? And how are you still repeating it today? Whatever that pattern was, whatever that behavior you learned at that time in your life, how is it still repeating today? And that's how we start connecting dots. So if you want to do this together, join me in the breakthrough. You can buy the program on its own, or it's part of my coaching membership. It's all on my website, paolaatlason.live. You can also book one-on-one sessions with me or send me an email. Let me know if you have any questions. I love a question. I'm very easy to find, and I would gladly help you clear some of these blockages, energy blockages out, so you can live your best life. All right. I hope I'll see you soon.